Hello, and welcome to the Retire to a Life You Love podcast with your host, Michelle Gessner. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's always good to see you. And I'm loving that you're purple today. You're looking very fuchsia-like.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So let's just get right to it. We're going to be talking about Social Security today.
Oh, everybody's favorite topic.
Yeah, everyone likes to talk about Social Security. So we're gonna dive into that subject. We're going to talk about a big myth, and I want to get into about 3 filing strategies.
Okay, so you wanted to talk about the big myth first. What's that all about?
Well, before I get into that, I want to just let our listeners know that a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is coming from an article that you can check out. It's a Kiplinger article, and it's titled 8 Strategies for Deciding When to File for Social Security. That was an article in which I personally contributed. It's you can Google it, but it's also a link for it will also be in the show notes. It's also on the homepage of our website. So we'll be covering a few things, obviously not going to be talking about 8 strategies, just 3, and a few other things that are not in the article. And then if you're interested in this topic, you're going to want to hear an upcoming episode where I talk about how your Social Security benefits are taxed, which is another fun subject, taxes with regard to Social Security benefits.
Yes, exactly. We love to talk about taxes.
And what you can do to reduce those taxes on your benefits. So be looking for that. That's coming in the near future. But today we're talking about Social Security, the big myth, and 3 filing strategies.
All right. So now we can get to the myth?
We can get to the myth. All right. So I hear from clients who come into my office, I'm sure that it's no secret that there are a lot of people who worry that Social Security is not going to be there for them, that it's on a collision course to automatically run out of money, and therefore you should file as early as possible or panic. That's the big myth, right? And it's not based on, nothing. I mean, there is some truth to what this fear is about. There is right on the Social Security website that the trust fund for Social Security will be depleted at some point. In fact, it says right on the website that it covers Social Security benefits until the year 2033. So this isn't based on nothing. This is rooted in this fact, right? That you can read about. But what you have to understand is that there are some things to know. All right. So first off, it's not true that you're not going to be able to collect benefits or that they'll be severely reduced. Now, I suppose that could happen, but let's go over a few things. And by the way, the earliest age that you can file for Social Security is age 62. But what I want people to understand is that Social Security benefits are funded by payroll taxes, which are assessed on every American worker. Half is paid by the employee and the other half by the employer. And these payroll taxes, otherwise known as FICA, are supposed to cover the benefits that are paid out. And currently there is a deficit between the two. So this deficit contributes to our national debt. And because the Social Security system ran a $3 trillion surplus from the years 1983 to 2009, it is legally entitled to run a $3 trillion deficit until these two figures balance out, which is currently expected to happen in the year 2033. All right, so those are all facts. But what people need to understand is that there are levers that the government can pull besides just doing away with Social Security or severely reducing your benefits. They can raise payroll taxes. They can leave payroll taxes alone, but lift the wage cap so that there's more of your earned income that is subject to tax.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because that seems to be a big sticking point. You're only responsible for up to a certain amount each year. Is that how it goes?
Correct. So that wage cap rises every year, and it's announced what the new wage cap is. Currently, it's $168,600 a year. So what that means is that if you earn north of $168,600, everything above that amount is not subject to FICA, just up to $168,600. Okay, so if the government needs more money, they can either raise those FICA taxes or they can lift the wage cap or raise it even higher. Now, if you think something like that could never happen or that it hasn't happened, remember that in the year 2013, they established a Medicare tax of 0.9% in addition to FICA tax on individual taxpayers whose adjusted gross income is above $200,000 and $250,000 for joint filers. They already did that. So they could do it again, right? They can also eliminate the earliest age to claim benefits, which we said is currently age 62, and they can make it 67 for everyone. So with those three levers, do you really think they need to cause mass rioting in the streets by just eliminating Social Security because the trust fund's going to run out in 2033 and payroll taxes don't cover the full amount of benefits?
No.
There's things they can do.
Right.
Yeah, and especially a lot of people don't know what the wage cap is, don't understand how it works. And so if you don't understand how it works, how can you get all upset when it's raised because you don't understand how it works?
Well, and I'd like to, delve into that a little bit more. Like, what is the purpose of cutting it off at 168,000? I mean, I just don't understand why, if you're making $250,000 a year, you're basically getting a lot more money than the rest of us because you're not having to pay this.
I suppose the answer would be that there is a cap on the amount of benefit that you can get. I mean, Social Security benefits are not unlimited. There's a ceiling.
Okay.
So I suppose that's what the logic is. But my point is they can do a lot of things before they just do away with the program.
Okay.
And so when I have a client that worries about, well, I better file early because it's soon the program won't even be here. I just want people to understand that there are other things that can happen. And then to that person who thinks, even still, you're not convinced, you still think, I'm going to go ahead and file as early as I can, age 62, because then at least I get something. Well, you may or may not know that filing at age 62 is already reducing your benefits. So if the government is going to reduce Social Security benefits and you're filing at age 62, you're making the problem worse. You're now reducing your own benefits by filing at 62, and then they're going to reduce them further because of things that they need to do to make the program whole. So you already shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. So, but, basically you're saying, let's relax a little bit. Let's not get into a panic. And, but so there are some things that you want to say about Social Security that we may not know.
Yeah. So let's talk about just some things that you need to understand. So let's go over some basic facts about Social Security, and then we can get into the three strategies. So this is your basic Social Security primer. It is not a conclusive list of everything you need to know, but let's start with a few basic things to understand. You need to understand the term full retirement age. Full retirement age is a Social Security term. It's jargon, right? It's what they use. And I'm going to, from now on in this podcast episode, I'm going to say FRA because I don't like to say full retirement age. So what is the full retirement age FRA? That is based on your birth year. So if you were born in 1960 or later, your FRA is age 67. And for people born in 1955 through the end of 59, then your FRA ranges between age 66 and 2 months and 66 and 10 months. And if you were born before 1955, you've already reached age 66 in your FRA. So what the heck is FRA? FRA is the Social Security definition that you're going to get your full benefits. So that's the level at which you get full benefits without taking a haircut. It has nothing to do with whether you're still working or not working, you've fully retired or not retired. It's the Social Security definition of when you're entitled to your full benefits. Now, every year that you wait to file for Social Security after FRA, you get an automatic 8% delayed credit or bonus, if you will, until you reach age 70 when it stops. So if your FRA is 67, you would have a 24% benefit increase if you waited to file at your age 70 than if you had just started your benefits at 67. And those benefits will be permanently higher. Now, they don't go higher after age 70. So there's no point in waiting till after age 70. Another thing to understand is spousal benefits. So spousal benefits is drawing a Social Security for yourself based on your spouse's record. And what you need to know about spousal benefits is that the max that you can get are 50% of the higher earner's primary insurance amount, PIA, another Social Security term. And basically that's the amount that that person would get if they filed at their FRA. So that means if your spouse waits till they're age 70 to file to get their maximum benefit, that does not increase your spousal benefit because the max for spousal benefits is only 50% of your spouse's regular FRA benefit. All right. Now, another basic, primer piece of information before we get into the strategies is that taking a benefit on your spouse's record, okay, we said that you get up to 50% of their primary insurance amount and no more than that, but they must have started their benefits so you could get that spousal benefit if you're still married. So if they didn't file for Social Security, then you can't get spousal benefits. You have to wait till they file if you're still married to them. Now, that's not the case if you're divorced. We're going to get to that in a minute. If you start your spousal benefit prior to your own FRA, then the spousal benefit will be reduced depending on your age. You have to be at least 62 to start spousal benefits, just like you'd have to be 62 to start your own benefit. All right, that's the end of my little primer session.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
Well, no, and I think this is good information to all keep in mind that will help us stay a little bit more calm. So now we get into the strategy, right?
Yeah, and there are lots of strategies. I'm just going to cover 3. And if you want to read about additional strategies, then check out that article that I mentioned. All right, so strategy number 1, if you're a married couple and you want to receive some Social Security benefits before you're age 70, you can't wait. You need the money now. You've retired, whatever the reason is. Although, again, you don't have to be retired to take Social Security benefits. I think that's another misconception. All right, you don't have to be retired to start. But, all right, in this situation, you want to start your benefits before 70. Then choose the lower earner of the two of you to start your benefits when you need the money, and let the higher earner delay filing for their benefits until they reach age 70. That way, you will get the biggest boost from these delayed retirement credits. And remember that there's a widow's benefit or a survivor's benefit. It's the same thing. And it will be higher for the surviving spouse if you do this, because the higher earner delayed. So the survivor benefit will be based on the higher of the two benefits. So this is going to help well after the one of you passes away.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So are you ready for strategy number 2?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we talked about spousal benefits, but we didn't talk about spousal benefits on an ex-spouse. If you're married, remember I said you have to wait till your spouse files for their benefit before you can collect spousal benefits. But that is not the case if you're divorced. If you are married to your ex-spouse for at least 10 years and you've been divorced from them at least 2 years and you're at least 62 years old, you can file for spousal benefits on your ex-spouse's record, even if they haven't started their own benefits. You may or may not know. Maybe you don't keep in touch with them. Also, receiving this spousal benefit on your ex-spouse has no effect on his or her own benefit or the benefit of their current spouse. So if you're wondering about that, you don't want to upset the apple cart or whatever you're worried about, these are the rules.
Okay.
Now, don't forget that if you wait until your own FRA to start collecting these spousal benefits, you'll get a higher amount, but never more than 50% of that person's primary insurance amount, PIA. Now, like all rules, there's a caveat, right? So here's the caveat. There is such a thing called deemed filing, more Social Security jargon. And what deemed filing means is that when you file for either your own Social Security benefits or your spouse's benefits or your ex-spouse's benefits, you are deemed to have filed for the other benefit as well. So your own benefit no longer receives those nice delayed credits that we've been talking about. So you better think about whether that spousal or ex-spousal benefit is worth giving up the bonus credits on your own benefits that you would have received by waiting. And by the way, this deemed filing thing that I'm talking about, these are new rules that came about after 2015. That never used to be the case, but they made changes in 2015. So that is the case now. I am not saying that you should not file for your spousal benefits, but you need to know what the downside of doing that is. And to find that out, you really should be working with a professional.
Yeah, because, they make it as confusing as possible sometimes, I think.
You wonder if they do, right? You wonder if they just conspire in the background to make this as confusing as possible.
I wouldn't be surprised in the least.
All right, so the last strategy I want to cover today is that spousal benefits that we've been talking about have rules that are very different than survivor benefits or widow's benefits, which we're going to start talking about right now. So the basic rules to understand about survivor benefits, and I keep saying survivor, widows, it's the same thing. You'll want to listen up if your spouse or your ex-spouse is deceased. So if you're a widow or widower, you can file for survivor benefits as early as age 60, not 62. But you must have been married to the deceased person for at least 9 months at the time of their death, and you must have waited until age 60 or later to remarry. If you choose to take survivor benefits this early, they will be reduced by about 28.5% because payments start at 71.5% of your deceased spouse's benefit, and they increase the longer you wait to apply. And they reach an amount that's over 75% at your age 61, over 80% at your age 63, and over 90% at age 65. Finally, they reach their maximum, 100%, if you wait until you reach your FRA.
Okay.
So you can start as early as 60, but if you do, the widow's benefit will be reduced. Now, if you're trying to write all this down and worry about, oh my gosh, what did she say? And you don't want to have to rewind and listen, there's going to be links in the show notes that you can click on to get this information. Now let's get to the strategy. So I just was giving you the background. So here's the strategy. If your own Social Security benefit is always going to be less than the survivor's benefit, maybe your ex-spouse made a lot of money and has a higher benefit than you do, then an important strategy for you is to file for your own benefits at age 62 and then switch to the survivor benefits when you reach FRA, which is when those benefits reach their maximum. And conversely, if your own benefit is going to be larger than this widow's benefit, you should claim the widow's benefit or survivor benefit as early as age 60 and allow your own benefits, which are eligible for those delayed credits, to grow in the background until you reach age 70, and then you switch back to your own benefits. And why am I saying this? Because they don't have the same rules that regular benefits have. Remember I said this deemed filing thing comes into play?
Right.
Not the case with widow's benefits. So filing for a widow's benefit doesn't impact your benefit. It can still grow in the background. There is no deemed filing on widows and survivor benefits.
So that's kind of like a double dipping thing. Like you can only take one or the other, but you're saying in this case you can collect both your own benefits and then the survivor benefits?
Not at the same time. You
Oh,
can't collect both, but if you file early at age 60 for the widow's benefit, your benefit is continues to collect the bonuses,
right.
grows in the background, and then you can switch or vice versa. So that's not the case, as I mentioned earlier. If you're not talking about widow's benefits at all, you're talking about those spousal benefits. Remember, I said if you file for your spousal benefits, if you're still married or your ex spousal benefits,
Right.
whether you're married or whether they filed or not, that your own benefit stops growing in the background. That is not the case with widows' benefits. There is no deemed filing going on.
So that's a bonus, right?
It is, and that's why I'm mentioning this strategy, because people think if they understand this deemed filing rule that it also applies to survivor benefits. So if you've got a deceased spouse, this is super important. You may be leaving money on the table. They're not going to come look you up and call you up and say, "Oh, you should have filed for your widow's benefits because they're higher than your benefit. What are you waiting for?" So just want to make that very clear.
Okay. So since this is confusing, can people get the help they need from the Social Security office?
Not necessarily. So the Social Security office will answer specific questions that you have, but they will not give strategy filing advice. And they are instructed not to give you filing advice. If you want professional filing advice, you really want to meet with an experienced financial planner who can help you through this and run the numbers for you in the context of your own financial plan.
So they don't want to be held responsible. Is that why they're not allowed to give
I
you?
you know, that's a good guess. They don't want to be held responsible. And I've called the Social Security office, and they don't really even know the answers to basic things. So
Oh,
I guess you just are better off working with a professional who is trained and understands all of this. Yes, they can answer factual questions, what your benefit is at such and such. I mean, these kinds of things. But if you're looking for help and making sense of it all and what you should do and shouldn't do, that's not where you go.
okay. So where do we go? We go to see you.
Yes, come see me. I can help you through this. And I'm not just going to give cookie cutter advice. I'm going to look at your own personal situation. I'm going to see what other money you have, what makes sense. We have software that helps us through this, and because it gets complicated. We're going to look at the break-even analysis. We're going to put that in context with your other money. So there's a lot more to it.
Okay. So if people want to get in touch, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get in touch with us is just visit our website, GessnerWealthStrategies.com. And there's a contact us there. You'll see our phone number. Reach out. We'll be happy to help.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.